Hey, what's up, studs? Ryan here, or MandRproductions, and for the first time in over a year, I believe, I'm here to bring you guys a LEGO Star Wars set ideas video, an original series I started back in like 2014. It's been a long time that I had been doing these, but I'm finally back with another one. This, of course, based off the Mandalorian TV series on Disney+, which I find weird that people call it the Mandalorian TV show when it's on a streaming service, but that aside, this is set ideas based off of Season 1, as that is all that is out as of the recording of this video. Most of these I'll have approximate prices for and minifigs to throw in there with them, but some of these ideas are more loosely based, just kind of random thoughts I'll be throwing out. So we'll get started here with some of the smaller sets that could potentially come from the Mandalorian TV show. See, even I do it. First up, I think it's very likely that we'll see a Razor Crest poly bag. I just don't see why LEGO wouldn't make this iconic vehicle or ship in a poly bag form. It would just be an easy sell for a ton of people that would instantly recognize it from The Mandalorian. So that's my first little thing that I think they'll probably make from The Mandalorian. My next idea is a microfighter that LEGO has not made yet, and since it's in The Mandalorian, we'll call it a Mandalorian set, and that's the Sandcrawler. You'll get an exclusive Jawa variant and a beautiful looking little Sandcrawler build that you can, of course, stick the Jawa into. I don't think this would be a huge surprise if we saw this in early 2021. Of course, the price for that would be $10 in the US, no surprise there. And our other $10 microfighter to combat the Sandcrawler would be the Razor Crest, because we do see the Razor Crest and the Sandcrawler together in the show, so it would be no surprise to have both of them available as microfighters. The Razor Crest would provide the cheapest way to get the Mandalorian at a $10 price. You'd get the Mandalorian with his little microfighter Razor Crest, and there are some awesome mocks to give us some ideas of what this could potentially look like, so that would be great to see. Moving on, a scene from episode 8 of The Mandalorian, perhaps the gondola thing. I don't know, this boat could be an interesting set. You could have a little bit of the lava river with the end of the cave with the stormtroopers sitting outside, and you kind of reenact this scene with IG-11 going full suicide bomber mode. Could be an interesting set. I don't know if LEGO would do it, but it would be an interesting thing. You'd get IG-11, you'd get Cara Dune, you'd get your gondola droid R2-D2 with arms and legs, which is the weirdest looking thing I've ever seen. Like, this would have all the minifigs shown in the scene. It would just make a ton of sense. I don't know if LEGO would do something like that, but it would be nice. The only reason I think this is unlikely is because I don't think they've ever done a boat from LEGO Star Wars. Like, that just doesn't seem like a thing they do. And on top of that, even if they did do it, it wouldn't be that expensive of a set, I think, so they would significantly scale back on the minifigure selection, which would be a bit of a downer. The next one that I think is actually pretty likely for possibly an early 2021 release is Moff Gideon's TIE Fighter. This is something that you see in the later episodes of Season 1 of The Mandalorian, and of course at first it looks like a normal TIE Fighter, but then when it lands, it actually has wings that fold out to allow it to drop the cockpit down to the ground for your pilot to get on out very easily. I think this would prove to be very different functionally from previous TIE Fighters, and it would give LEGO a real good excuse to remake what aesthetically looks like a TIE Fighter, but functionally functions a little bit different than all of the previous ones, which I think would be very important on selling people on this TIE Fighter. For me personally, I could see this coming in maybe at a $60 price point with 500 pieces, although I should probably say 80 because it's probably going to be 80 if they did it, but about 500 pieces, 2 minifigs. I would say Moff Gideon and a Death Trooper would be the two that I would have to have in that. Maybe you could throw in a Stormtrooper since there's a bunch of Stormtroopers standing around too, but at least you're getting Moff Gideon, and you would probably get one of two, a Stormtrooper or a Death Trooper, if not both. I have another idea for a set. I would call it like the Client or something, and it would have like Dr. Pershing and Mando and Baby Yoda and like some dirty Stormtroopers or something. And it would kind of be like a Mos Eisley Cantina bar set like that, just like with a little table and seats and maybe the little side room where you have the Baby Yoda, I don't know what you would call that, like the medical area or wherever they're doing their crazy science experiments from those episodes. And I just thought that would be kind of a very interesting little build for them to have. The idea I have for it is about $40, 350 pieces, and 5 minifigs. I would want to see Greef Karga, the Mandalorian, of course, the Client. You would definitely have to have Dr. Pershing, of course, Baby Yoda, and maybe even a couple of the dirty Stormtroopers. So maybe like 6 or 7 minifigs there would fill out that set, in my opinion. And maybe $40 would be a little bit on the cheap end. Maybe you could make this a $60 set, really beef it up, and have some justification for having so many minifigures in a set like that. So that is just an idea to kind of get get a bunch of those minifigs from early on in the season would be pretty nice. Moving on, a set that I think everyone would buy is a Razor Crest, and we've already talked about a Microfighter Razor Crest. No, I'm now talking about something a little bit bigger, even bigger than this mock here by Brick Wizard 59. I think this one's a little bit smaller, maybe more like this. I think this would be more in the scale that I'm thinking of, but I'm thinking of $100 to $140 on this set and looking at 800 to 1200 pieces. I mean, they could go pretty big with this on the play scale side. And 4 minifigs being Mando, Baby Yoda, IG-11, and Kuiil. Although you could probably throw in Cara Dune as well and call it 5. I wouldn't be surprised if they did that. Or even, they could throw in minifigs from the random missions that he's had. I wouldn't hate getting a Bill Burr Lego minifigure, just throwing that out there. I'm totally down for that. But, they could do so many different things with that. I mean, just to me, I'm like, let's just throw the main characters in there, and maybe Lego would do something different. That'd be cool too. I don't really care. But this would definitely be an awesome playset for Lego to make. It's one that I think everyone wants at this point. It'd be really, really neat, and potentially could include an exclusive Mando minifigure with his signet. I was really saving that for the UCS one, but I think Lego might be, a little soft in the heart there and throw in an exclusive Mando figure in here with the signet on it. And while we're at it, let's talk about the potential for a UCS Razor Crest. I think this set would cost like $250. I don't think they could make this at the $200 price range. I think it needs to be bigger than that. It just has to be $200, maybe $300 for this set, and about 2,500 pieces, maybe on the high end, 3,000 pieces. If they go higher than that, the price has to keep going up, and I don't think people will pay more than $300 for this. I think $300 is probably the cap for a UCS Razor Crest, but it's definitely something that I think Lego needs to capitalize on. They've only done original trilogy UCS sets for like the last decade, and I think it's time to get something in there that's fresh, that's new, from something newer from Star Wars, and this would be a great opportunity to do it because it's such an iconic ship already. You could throw in an exclusive Mandalorian minifigure with this signet. It doesn't have to be in the playset if you don't want it to be, and of course maybe even an exclusive Baby Yoda for a while before you release it in other sets, so you could get the Baby Yoda crowd in on this set, and maybe other minifigures, but ideally, it's a UCS set. They don't usually include a ton of minifigures in there, so it'd just be like Mando and Baby Yoda, because it kind of feels like it's just the two of them gallivanting around the galaxy, and that's kind of fun. So I think that would kind of be the ideal minimum Lego minifigure selection. I think this mock by Rich Boy J sums it up pretty well. I mean, even this might be even a little bit bigger than Lego would go with it, but definitely an interesting look into what it could potentially look like. And for me, this would be something that could come out May 4th this year. It could come out in October of 2020. It could be very, very soon that we see this set. It wouldn't surprise me if Lego's been working on this for a while. So fingers crossed we actually do get this one. This is the one that I want to come to fruition the most. This is the set on all of these set ideas that I have, is the one that I want Lego to make the most. Moving on, could Lego make a Sandcrawler from The Mandalorian? Sure. I mean, there definitely is a substantial bit of Sandcrawler footage in the show. It's definitely kind of a focal point of one of the episodes and definitely shows up in a couple of them. But they just released our Sandcrawler in summer of 2018. It's just now retiring. And if they hadn't released that Sandcrawler in summer of 2018, we would now be about 6 years removed from the last Sandcrawler instead of less than 2. And I would say, hey, this is definitely the time they're releasing a Sandcrawler. We're getting a Mandalorian-centered Sandcrawler. That is not the case. I don't think a Mandalorian Sandcrawler is going to happen. It's very unfortunate because it would have been much better timing-wise than about a year and a half ago, but just doesn't look like it's going to happen in my opinion. So this is an idea that definitely could happen, but it's one of the ideas that like I said, isn't very fleshed out. It's just one of those I'm throwing out there as like a very unlikely thing. Next up, maybe some blurgs would be an interesting thing. I don't know if that would be a set on its own or maybe part of another set. I think part of another set would be the better thing. Maybe the blurgs with these stormtroopers chasing them down on the speeder bikes. And of course you get Baby Yoda and Kuiil and a couple of scout troopers in that set. I think that could make for an interesting $30 set. Definitely some potential there if Lego was able to pull that one off. I think people would be all over that, especially because these scout troopers have so much personality and play such a fun role in episode 8 of The Mandalorian. Obviously they wouldn't be named in the set. They'd look just like any other scout trooper, but it would still be very nice to get the 2 scout troopers that we see in episode 8 and of course that hit Baby Yoda, so you can get your revenge for that, I suppose, through the Lego set. So moving on, they obviously did the Yoda buildable character in late 2019, so I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that they would do a Baby Yoda buildable figure character guy. I don't think it would look as good as the Yoda we have now. I just don't think it translates very well, the cuteness of it. I don't think it would be easy to capture, and I think that would be the most important part, is capturing that, like, basically trademarked cuteness of Baby Yoda, and I don't see how LEGO could do that. I mean, if they were able to do that, that's great. I would be all over it. I would definitely buy it. But even this mock, as good as this mock is, I really like this mock of it. I just don't think it captures that same cuteness. There's definitely some roughness to the face of it, like weird bumps that you just don't have the pieces to create what you want to create, and it just doesn't really translate very well into the LEGO world. So as much as I think a lot of people think this would be a great idea, in my opinion, this is just one that I don't think would work out very well. It just wouldn't look good enough. But anyway, that leaves us with a few other odd ends and possible sets. Baggles for Real actually made a few of these. First up, you have a Mudhorn. I don't think this is something LEGO would make, because they didn't make like the similar creature from episode 2 on the Geonosis Arena. Like, we never got any of those creatures, so I don't know why this would be a creature LEGO would make, but I mean, I wouldn't hate it if they made it. It's a Mudhorn. You get some exclusive weird looking Jawas. Of course, Mando himself and Queel. I hope I haven't been mispronouncing his name. It's a tough one to pronounce, but yeah, it could be an interesting little set at the $20 price range, of course, with a very small build. And then next up, the Speeder from episode 1. Definitely a possibility. You get a couple of very nice exclusive minifigures in that one. LEGO is certainly not very shy about making speeders like this, so I could definitely see that one coming to fruition. And the most likely of these three that Baggles for Real has put together here would be this one. It's really from the end of episode 1 here, when they're breaking into that little base. It's like a turret on wheels, essentially, or whatever. And I think this would be the one that I would like to see. You know, you'd get a part of the base where they break in to find Baby Yoda, and you get some of the bad guys protecting it. Of course, you get IG-11 and Mando to attack, and that would be an interesting little set. Definitely, you would add more to this, some type of building structure to have be defended and attacked and try to save Baby Yoda. I think that's a set LEGO could make, because it would create a lot of imaginative play with kids, really. You definitely would like that, because, you know, the kids would be trying to save Baby Yoda, and you got to defeat the bad guys, and I think there's definitely a lot of fun to be had there with that. So those are all of my set ideas for The Mandalorian Season 1. Of course, there's more than this in The Mandalorian. There's more ships, vehicles, and scenes, so you can let me know if you have any ideas that you think LEGO should make down in the comments section below. There certainly are other things that they can do, exclusive sets, polybag minifigures. There are things like that I would like to see, but just, you know, I don't really have time for in a video like this. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. I'm hoping we see a lot of Mandalorian sets in 2020, 2021. Of course, Season 2 coming out late 2020, so we definitely should be getting more Mandalorian sets during this year and next year. Definitely looking forward to it. So leave a like if you guys enjoyed, subscribe to the channel if you're new here, and leave your comments down below. Peace out.